Hey there, this is Dara Connolly, your fearless confidence coach. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to improve your body language. Let's do it. Okay, we know body language confidence is very important because most of our communication is nonverbal. And I'm going to be teaching you some things you haven't heard before, so make sure you stay till the end. So let me go through these rather quickly because I want to make sure we can get to the content that's like gonna pop your mind. Body language confidence, we're gonna go through 8 tips that you wanna make sure you do at all times, especially when you're in front of people. Number 1 is eye contact. Look, we're talking to a Zoom camera here, and I want to make sure I see you through that camera. So I'm looking at the camera because that's where your eyes are. But when you're in person, it's the same thing. Make that eye contact. Don't be afraid to look at people in the eye and be sincere when you do so. If this is hard for you, just practice. It's okay to look and then look away, but come back to the eye contact. It's going to improve the more you do it. Tip 2 is to lean forward, lean in, have a little bit more interest in people, show that you're interested when they're talking. You can listen by leaning in. This will help show that you are confident enough in yourself that you're going to get close to that person, being a little bit more engaged and vulnerable. Tip 3 is to stand up straight. So many of us are slouchers. We're used to being at a computer. We tend to have the rounded shoulders. Stand up straight as if the 2 shoulder blades are against a wall behind you. Practice doing this. You pull your navel in a little bit and it'll give you that nice straight posture. Number 4 is to keep your chin up, parallel, or even a little bit slightly up. Do this in every environment you can. Try to be aware of where your chin is. Make sure you do this. This will really change the way you walk into a room. Number 5 is to avoid the tendency to fidget. I know a lot of us are high energy. ADHD is rampant, but do not fidget. Keep the hands still, keep the feet still, keep your eyes still if you can, because all of this determines whether or not you're a confident person. Number 6 is to avoid those pockets. Hands don't go in the pockets, fingers don't go in the pockets, no playing with the pockets. Keep your body out of those pockets. Number 7 is to slow down your movements. I'm talking fast, but I want you to make the movements a little bit more slow, a little bit more deliberate. Number 8 is if you're walking, take larger steps. This shows more confidence because you're not afraid of stepping into the future, stepping into the scene, being action oriented. Okay, so those 8 steps I went through rather quickly. And I'm going to take you through traits of a confident person. So a confident person does things that most of us aren't thinking of. And one of these is being aware of their body in space. Aware of your body in space. What do I mean by that? I want you to start having a little bit more proprioception. What you are doing. Are you taking up space in a room? Are you taking up space in that chair? Are you standing where you're opening yourself? We want to expand, not retract. So we're taking up space when we're in a room. And the more that you do this, people will notice you because you're visibly present. But there's other things a confident person does. They're also aware of their head. So what that means is at all times, they're keeping their head relatively still. If somebody's talking and you want to agree with them, you don't have to nod at everything they say, or it starts to look a little crazy. You don't also want to tilt your head too much because that looks a little weak. You can nod at a main point, and then you keep the head still. We want to keep our head still because too much movement becomes very distracting, and it shows that you're too subordinate, too eager to please, too ready to agree with that person. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person who's listening carefully. And if you don't agree with something, you're not going to nod. Also, proprioception, we think about our hands and our feet in space. So we want to make sure we're taking up space. Arms are open, hands are open, and we're taking up more space. We're not confined and closed in, just like our feet don't want to be crossed or closed in. If you can take up a little bit more space, it'll help you command body language confidence. Now let's talk about something that goes beyond body language. And this is how you carry yourself. What I mean by this is whether or not you respond to a question that someone asks you, or whether or not you engage in a conversation. Body language confidence also comes down to whether or not you're quiet or not. See, people think quiet people are sometimes shy or timid, and that could be true, or it can also display confidence. Confidence can be very quiet. Confidence is the one who's plotting and thinking. Confidence is the person who takes their time when they speak because they know what they have to say is valuable. So think about not just your body language, but then what you do to enhance the body language. A confident person is not in a rush. They take time to move through the room. They take up space in the room and they allow themselves to be in control of whether or not they're going to contribute to a conversation, whether or not they're going to nod, or whether or not they're going to remain quiet. Confidence is in control. Okay, now a bonus tip is coming up. And before we get to the bonus tip, this is a good time to tell you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. And also check out DaraConnollyCLUB, which has a plethora of new videos being launched each week that you're not going to want to miss because that content cannot be found anywhere else. So when we talk about body language confidence, I want you to think of some famous people because famous people do this really well. And my bonus tip is to become the persona of the person you want to be. So who is Sacha Cohen? Well, most of us have heard of, but we've heard of Beyonce. You want to become the persona of the confident person you want to be. So some celebrities do this. They have like an alter ego. You can do this by modeling their persona. So I want you to think, who's a confident celebrity that you can picture in your mind? Meryl Streep, Kate Blanchett, George Clooney, Brad Pitt. Who is it to you that displays confidence? If you notice, most of those people carry themselves in the room by taking up space. They're taking their time when they speak to take up space. All the tips I just reviewed. Most of us aren't born with these skills, but we can learn to do them by practicing them. So I want you to begin to follow and mimic someone that you see who exudes confidence really well with their body and begin to mirror them a little bit so you can start to find what feels natural to you. You can't mirror them 100% because they're different than you. But maybe there's pieces of how they enter a room that you want to take on. How many of you would like to be more confident? Most people would raise their hand. But I want you to think about that. Next time you raise your hand in a room, I want you to raise it with confidence. See, everything we do can be done with confidence. Let's talk about hand gestures because there's hand gestures that are very specific to showing confidence. One of those is the steeple hand by holding it still. This is here to say, I'm being sincere. I'm talking from my heart. You can even put your hands on your heart. Talk about when you want to introduce another person or engage with another person, we point like this or like this. We don't point like this. So use your whole hand or fingers so it's not coming across rude. Just like before, when I said a confident person is aware of what their head is doing, moving your head less, we want to move our hands less. You see, your confidence can speak to you and to others through your body language. You don't even have to say a word. Let your body language confidence speak for you. And as you do this, it's easier because you won't have to convince a person using your words, which is much harder to do than by convincing a person with the way you carry yourself. So now that I've taught you some tips of how to improve body language confidence, you're going to want to watch my next video, which is how to handle difficult people. So stay tuned, click the link below for DaraConnollyCLUB, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, you are amazing.